Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Voice of Palestine. It's November 25th, 2012, and I'm your co-host, Hanna Kawas. Our special guest today is Kevin Neish of Victoria, BC, who just returned from giving testimony at the historic Mavi Marmara trial in Turkey. The trial in absentia of 4 senior Israeli military commanders is the effort to hold them accountable for the deaths of 9 human rights activists killed by Israeli commandos aboard the Gaza aid ship, the Mavi Marmara, where also Kevin was a passenger. We'll talk with him about the court in Turkey and his testimony there, and we'll also talk with Kevin about his previous solidarity work and his involvement with the international solidarity movement. Good evening, Kevin, and welcome again to the Voice of Palestine.
Well, it's always good to hear your voice.
Thanks, Kevin. You just returned, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago from the trial. Could you tell us, how did it happen? And obviously you were invited there, why they invited you, they invited everyone that was on, I hear that they invited everyone that was on the Mavi Marmara. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I understand. They're basically collecting everybody who wants to be a complainant against the Israelis. So I think they've got 490 people who are official complainants on the in the trial. But they wanted internationalists to come, I guess, who could offer support. And in particular, I'm one of the few people that got a camera chip off the ship because, as always, the Israelis want complete silence as far as what they've done, and they wanted all the evidence. So they confiscated just about every single camera chip and computer and camera and everything and destroyed it. Well, didn't destroy it. They seized it all and kept it. But I got my chip off, so I had a series of photographs of the captured commandos, and I got a photograph. I think it's the earliest photograph showing the first wounded people being brought into the ship. So it's and it's all date stamped, so it's all quite important as far as identifying the timing of everything. So the court was quite interested in it all. It went very well, very well.
Yeah, so they basically charging the 4 commanders, including the former chief of staff, Ashkenazi.
Gabi
Ashkenazi.
He's on the roll, yeah.
Yeah, but were they charging them with war crimes or?
Oh, there's a whole series. I could read them off to you here.
Yeah, sure, that'll be good. Let our listeners see.
Inciting property damage, inciting looting, inciting torture, obstructing communication, deprivation of freedom, instigating harm, and instigating manslaughter.
Yeah,
and that's the ones I see here, and they're calling for. They're calling for life sentences for all 4 of them. The 4, they got the Air Force Intelligence Brigadier General Levy, Yadlin, who is the intelligence chief of the whole military, the naval guy Maroon, and then Ashkenazi. So
4 of them. Yeah,
they've got them all lined up, and the Israelis are. I mean, you can tell when the Israelis are mad about something is when they start yelling and shouting that it's all a show trial.
No, that's correct. Yeah, they were.
They're quite upset.
They were happy with
the Turks are treating it very seriously. They've like I say, they've got a government prosecutor who's accepted it as a legitimate claim, and if these fellas, if it comes down to a guilty verdict, Turkey will hand the decision over to Interpol, and then I guess legally Interpol, once they receive it, they'll have to put out an arrest warrant for all 4 of them if they land almost anywhere in the world. They have to be technically arrested and sent back to Turkey for lockup, but Except for the USA. They're able to travel to the USA because I guess the States doesn't recognize Interpol, I suppose.
Yeah, they don't actually, taking in consideration also that Turkey was one of their closest ally in the regions after since the Shah was toppled in 79, they were the only ally in the region and the only Muslim country that really had military maneuver, exchange of information, intelligence information, and they conducted many joint military exercises with the Israelis. So it's a really blow, and all that happened really after they attacked the Mavi Marmara. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it all happened immediately. Before that, there was, like I say, military exercises together. I think Turkey was one of the largest purchasers of Israeli weapons, and just a few days ago, Turkey sent back a whole set of drones that they had. I guess they had bought them before the Mavi Marmara, and now the Turks have decided to package them up and send them back to Israel.
Oh, is that right? I didn't hear about that. That's interesting. Yeah. Because, they were their closest ally, and actually they were, I don't know if you know, I was in Turkey in the late 60s and early 70s, and they were chasing us for our support. They were, imprisoning us, kicking us out for our support for the Palestinian cause, basically.
Yeah, that was back when the generals were in charge of Turkey.
When the generals were there and there was a dictatorship. It's had been a dictatorship, although the NATO claims otherwise, but it's been a dictatorship till this new government came into power, because the general used to decide on all policies, whether military
the prime minister, Erdogan, I think, if I can pronounce it properly. He, I think the last time I was there, I've been there 2 or 3 times now regarding the Mavi Marmara and whatnot, and I was quite concerned that the generals might sweep in, as they did in the 1980s, I think, and I think even in the 1990s they swept in and overthrew the government. But he struck first and arrested all the leadership.
They were trying to
military and I think he either retired them all or threw some in jail. So he's watching out. He's watching out.
And nothing guaranteed with these generals.
No.
and they're doing it with the support of the U.S. governments, because they are all trained in the U.S. So they'd sweep in like they swept into Libya or anywhere else. There's no difference. But having them being a NATO ally, that's a bit of a twist in the tail for Canada and the United States, having them offside with Israel. But they've lost a huge, powerful ally with Turkey. It is. And then Turkey's is working with Iran and they're up against Syria, of course. But there's all sorts of connections that the Israelis are going to. And interestingly enough, right after that happened, the Kurds suddenly got armaments and support, which the word is that Israel is doing that to try and teach the Turks a lesson, but to destabilize Turkey also. But although the revolution in eastern Turkey is a legitimate national liberation movement, but I don't think they have their own lackeys there in this liberation movement, because Erdogan, who was arrested, the leader of the PKK. He's in jail, and actually there were reports that he was arrested by the Mossad, and they handed him over. So I doubt the PKK were looking really.
That's rumors then.
But you never know. No, could be with certain things, not with the PKK, maybe with other groups, because because they have close contacts with the Kurds in North Iraq. Actually, they always
false flag. That's a standard operating procedure for Israel. So
it is. To destabilize, divide and rule, the old colonialist policy. So as recent as July, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in July that Israel and Turkey needed to repair their relationship, but attempts to rekindle the strategic relationship have failed. This is a report from Ma'an, the Palestinian news agency I'm reading. So obviously the Israel, is trying, but they still refuse to give an apology.
No.
They say we regret, but they never really apologized, and they never agreed to the terms of the Turkish government, really.
Lieberman demanded that Turkey apologize.
He's a precious, this guy.
Actually, the latest story that came up during the trial, they had the widows of the martyrs giving testimony while I was there, and it seems an Israeli came to Turkey and personally tried to buy them all off. He came in with I guess limitless amount of money. I don't know how much, but he went to the families, particularly and personally to try and buy them off to drop the lawsuit, and they all came out in public in the newspaper saying they could take their money and go away. Money wasn't part of the issue. They said the Israelis just didn't understand.
And we really didn't hear about that in the North American media. None of the main papers main media, CBC or NBC or CNN or even the BBC, they don't talk about these things, how Israel does all these dirty tricks, and they're trying to buy off people, and maybe that they consider it moral. That's the culture among these politicians in North America and in Europe.
I guess so. It's like I say, standard operating procedure, I guess. But it didn't work in Turkey. It blew up in their face.
And it's immoral anyway. It is immoral to buy people's weaknesses and to try to play on their emotions. Could you tell us a bit about how did it go? How long did you stay, and how many days it took to this testimonies at the court?
Well, there was 3 days of testimony. It was the 6th, the 7th, and the 9th. So the 6th and 7th were for the internationalists. So I think they went from 9 in the morning till I think 6 or 7 in the evening. They worked very long and hard to let everybody speak that wanted to speak. So it was it was a lot of powerful statements, and the judge was very very patient with all the translation that was going on. He took it all in. But I think the most powerful, actually there was a few of them, but when Furkan Dogan, the American student that was murdered, his father spoke as an internationalist. He was speaking for him, and because Furkan was an American citizen, so he was not more than about 3 feet away from me in the witness box, testifying. And I don't know a word of Turkish, but I understood exactly what he was saying. It was just gut wrenching the way he went through it, and you can see that just from the tone of his voice and the way people reacted in the audience, it was very powerful. And other women, like I said, the martyrs' wives, they spoke and just absolute outrage in their voice. Again, there it was in Turkish and didn't translate, but the outrage in these women's voices. And at one point, I was watching, and the prosecution lawyers were crying. There's 25 lawyers lined up on the one side for the prosecution. And a number of them were crying while the one, I think it was Favri Yadez's wife was giving testimony, and
it was emotional.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and again, the American government never gave support to the Turkish American father.
Nothing.
Or nothing. Yes, the same they did with Rachel Corrie, who's going to be here on the 29th. But you said this happened this month, right? The 6th, 7th, and
9th.
And 9th of November, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So just fresh, that's good news, and I think it is really important that they follow.
It got good coverage, and like the main part of my testimony was just because I took photographs, and I got the photographs off that I think. Well, I'm the only one that really photographed the commandos as they came in the door. And I got the photographs of the first wounded people, and then many bodies and dead and wounded after that. So I just handed the judge my memory stick. Instead of running through the photographs, I just handed it to him and said, "Here, at your leisure, look at the photographs and go from there." And video as well. Well, I got home and.
Did they show these photographs or any clips of the video at the trial, or they?
No, I was hoping to be able to show it to the whole court, but there was just so many people testifying that I simply handed him the chip and let him
decide.
Look it over. But when I got back, and just a few days ago, I got an email from somebody in Turkey saying, "Do you realize the impact of what you gave the judge?" And here he sent links to I think 6 or 7 of all the major TV stations in Turkey, and they're all showing the videos.
Good.
That I gave. So I guess they really, even though it was 2.5 years ago, it's front and center in the Turkish people's minds.
And also the Turkish public historically always been on the side of the Palestinians anyway. It's these generals who were pro-Americans. I think it will be received well. All these pictures. They receive well all these people who support the Palestinian cause.
That's another interesting.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say an interesting thing that I've noticed as far as the Turkish people, again, linking with the Palestine is part of the Ottoman Empire, so they really consider them brothers and sisters. And it's interesting to me that with the Syrian conflict, from what I'm hearing, the people in Turkey are against any involvement from Turkey. They don't want Turkey to go into Syria.
That's interesting. Good.
Yeah, no, I've heard that from especially along the border. It seems it's solidly against any attack from Turkey. I've heard 80% of Turkey is against the government going into Syria. So it's really this is just like what you're talking about. What you hear in the media isn't what's really happening on the ground.
And really they don't want to get involved with the U.S. plans for the Middle East supported by reactionary Arab regimes. I mean, the Syrian has legitimate demands, but let the Syrians handle it. You don't need to send billions of dollars for your lackeys to make trouble, And
no, I don't think the Syrians need any of those emirates and kings to tell them how to run their democracy.
That's it. I mean, the West are the one who imposing all these dictatorships on the Arab world in the Middle East, from Mubarak to Ben Ali to Saudis to the Kuwaitis to King of Jordan to the King of Morocco. They are the one who imposing dictatorship. It's ridiculous when they claim that they want democracies in the Arab world. That's when the Saudis and the Bahraini kings start to chastise Syria for what it's doing. I'm not enthralled with Assad or how democratic the government is, but they don't need to have lessons from them, nor the United States about how to
handle their own affairs. So
They
we'll
should
wait and see how it all shakes down.
Yeah, they should butt off the internal affairs of any country, let alone not only in the Middle East but anywhere in the world, which is as you did work in Central and South America. The Americans are really notorious in trying to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries,
And unfortunately, Canada's now doing that. We just signed a military pact with Colombia, of all things, if you can imagine. I mean, of all the horrendous governments in Latin America, Harper, trotted over to Colombia to sign a treaty, military agreement with them. It's fun. But anyways, we're getting away from Palestine.
No, that's fine. That's fine. They are all interrelated, Kevin. Really, I think it shows. Anyway, they look at it as interrelated too, and they have their own allies. So the people anyway are our allies. Yeah.
Talking about linkages. I mean, there's many linkages with Israel and Latin America. I mean, the Somoza dictatorship, they were supplied with weapons from Israel.
Yeah.
And Colombia, I guess, is the second or third biggest purchaser of Israeli weapons.
It's, in Argentina, while there was anti-Semitism, Israel was supplying them with arms during the junta, Argentina.
South Africa during the apartheid regime. I mean, they were the only ones giving them weapons. Assistance with nuclear weapons.
They tested the nuclear weapon together in the ocean.
Well, I got a quick funny story for you here.
Sure, go ahead.
But a bit of a light. I don't think. As I said, I'm the fellow who took all those any photographs you saw in the media of the commandos coming down the stairs when they were crying and being helped by doctors and whatnot on the deck. That was all my photographs.
Yeah.
But the first commando, when he came down the stairs, they called him the crying commando with his hands in the air, and he's got a bit of a bloody contusion on his forehead, I think. Anyways, it seems that commando, because his balaclava was taken off, it's easy to identify him. But he's suing the Israeli government for $20 million. Because he can't leave the country now, because if he leaves the country, he's scared of being arrested as a war criminal. So this poor commando feels hard done by now because he's been identified. But the joke was, in Turkey, they told me, well, I should send him a letter and ask him for a cut of his $20 million because I'm the one that photographed him. But I don't think I'll do that. The human rights worker who took his baklava off his face, right? They were all hiding their faces, and I wonder what they are afraid of. I mean, if they're doing according to them legal work, they shouldn't hide their faces. And I was going to ask you, I didn't hear part of the charges, piracy at high seas. Was that included in one of the other charges, or under? Because that's what they did, really. They captured. Oh yeah, it was outright piracy. I'm just gonna have a look here if I can. I have to. What else we got here? I don't see anything here, but this probably isn't a complete list.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, because the first act they did. The first act they did was the Piracy Act,
Oh yeah, and the kidnapping and the torture and and all the testimonies that people gave, it was just repeated over and over and over again. All the same things done. The beatings, the not allowing somebody to use a washroom for a whole afternoon, just to make people lose their dignity. It just it's on and on and on. And then the lunacy of it. They kidnap us and haul us into Israel. Then they thrust a piece of paper in front of me saying I entered Israel illegally, and by signing this paper I'm agreeing to that that I entered Israel illegally, and they're going to deport me on that charge. I mean, it's just madness.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they kidnap you, and then they tell you came inside Israel illegally.
Illegally, yeah. You'd almost think it was some sort of a Monty Python skit, but it was true. Terrible. Anyways, what else can I tell you? Fill you in on the trial.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's clear that the media there covered it totally. But here it was covered, but not in really details. I know you sent a letter to the Globe and Mail. Could you tell us about it? And did they publish it?
No one's report. I don't buy the Globe and Mail, but nobody's commented on it. No, I just made the point of the well, I don't have to tell you about this, nor many of your listeners, but the Palestinians have a legal right to defend themselves by any means. It's right there in the Geneva Convention and UN Charter, and people seem to forget this, that when the Palestinians fight back, they're fighting back just like the French resistance fought back against the Germans, and and people just seem to want to forget that or ignore that. And the Israelis are the occupiers. They don't have a right to attack the Palestinians. It's just turning the logic on its head the way it's presented, and I tried to make that point.
Yeah, your letter was regarding the recent massacre in Gaza, the recent aggression on Gaza, and I mean, we seen that again. They didn't really report on it, but they haven't really reported really about what's happening and the point of view of did they interview you when you came back from Turkey about what happened? Any of the media, did they interview?
Oh no. No, nobody. I sent out a couple of press releases before I left, and sent a letter to the Globe and Mail, sort of hoping that they would, of all the media in Canada, I thought, well, they might, since it's international and they're the best amongst the bad, but no interest at all. It's just irrelevant, I guess.
Yeah, like I told the CKNW, they wanted to interview me on the recent atrocities in Gaza. They wanted to appear that they are balanced. And once I have experience with them, where they invited me with the Israeli ambassador, and they said they'll give me half an hour, they'll give him half an hour, and then they gave him half an hour, and my half an hour they left him on. They didn't, I mean, like, he took the first half hour without me, and then when my return came, so, I mean, it's ridiculous. So I sent them a letter, and I told them, what they're doing is really unfair and underhanded, and I'm not going to appear on your show anymore, on CKNW. So when they invited me, I told them, I'm not coming, stay the voice of Israel. And this is what the media is the voice of Israel, really, because they really, you think they are the official station of the Israeli state,
Well, I know when while I was still in Turkey after the Mavi Marmara, I got an interview request from, I think it was As It Happens. They wanted to speak to me, right when I got back into Canada. And I agreed to the whole thing, and they were going to send a taxi to pick me up and take me down to the TV or the radio program station down here, and it was all set up. And I got back I gave a press conference on the Monday, and that's when I announced that I saw evidence of executions. I saw two bodies with bullet holes in the backs of their heads. I said, that's a war crime. I saw it with my own eyes, and the Israelis are committing war crimes, killing civilians, executing them on the deck of the Mavi Marmara. And of course they had to cover it. That the media had to let me say that, and they did publish it. But then the very next day I get a phone call from CBC, and they say, "Oh, Mr. Neish, we feel it's old news now, so we're not going to have you on the program." And then CTV was going to have me on their morning show, exactly the same thing. CTV got a hold of me, and they
are Yeah, they are the voice of Israel. Truly, they are.
Yeah, they once I wasn't going to play the local boy does good story. They didn't want to hear from me, and they canceled this as quickly as well. They phoned up and said, no, we're not going to have you anymore. We got something else. And to add insult to injury, the CBC. They said they're going to have me on with a report from the Turkish forensic doctors, the autopsy doctors who identified the execution evidence, and I knew that because they warned me ahead of time. I thought, well, that's great. I saw the bodies with the holes in their heads, so they take me off, as they said it's old news, and you know who they put on in my place?
Yeah,
an Israeli military reporter who was on the ship paralleling us, watching the whole attack through night vision goggles.
Yeah.
So they put him on in my place.
Yeah, and he's not old news.
He's not old news, no. Oh, I was absolutely infuriated. How they could put this lying SOB on there, and
that's CBC.
That was CBC.
The station where our tax money goes into it, right?
I think they're all scared to death that Harper's going to fire them if they open their yap. It's gotten so terrible now. It's it's Evan Solomon on the political show there. It's all just it's hard to even fathom. I don't even.
They censor themselves. They don't need a dictatorship to censorship.
No, they know what. They've seen what's happened to other people who try and raise the issues or challenge them, and they're keeping it low.
Yeah, no,
they can't touch you.
No, that's terrible. But we should be thankful we have other media sources like the internet and the other alternative media. 10 years ago they used to have a monopoly, not anymore. And we should tell them, we'll do our own and stay you voice of Israel, and you will be identified as such as the voice of Israel, because and people, they're losing credibility all over Canada because they are the voice, including the government of Canada. I mean, they are more royal than the king, more royal.
They're losing. I've heard Alan Dershowitz is just outraged because majority of young Jewish Americans don't care about Israel anymore. And he's just beside himself because he's losing these people because it's just not relevant to them anymore supporting a foreign, violent country like that. So, I think things are going along in the right direction. It's slow, but we're making progress.
Yeah, like Lenny Brenner, I don't know if you've seen it on our website, Canada-Palestine Association. He wrote an article. It's quite long. I think it's 17 pages. And the title of it, Why Our Politicians Are More Zionist Than Our Jews. He's Jewish, by the way. So the same true not in the U.S. but also in Canada, maybe worse, But if people want to read it, it's on our homepage at
good.
cpavancouver.org if people want to hear it.
Have a look at that.
But that's the situation, really. I mean, we're facing voices of Israel in every aspect of life, especially in the government and in the media. So,
well, at least they're fighting back. Before when the media when they had full control of the media, they didn't want to debate anything, so they simply kept quiet. They'd like when I came back from the Mavi Marmara, nobody came out to challenge me. I went on 2 or 3 tours across Canada. And virtually no one in the audience challenged me. They couldn't defend the indefensible, so they just kept quiet. And that's what they've always used to do, but now they're losing. They're losing all over the place. So now they're coming out and violently attacking people and just outright lies, calculated lying, just to change things in their favor.
Yeah, including on the government level, like this bird, he gave a speech at the Jewish National Fund in Ottawa just 3 days ago or so, and he was saying, it's outrageous that the Jewish National Fund serves all citizens, Christian, Muslims, and Jews, which is ridiculous. outright lie. This our foreign minister, is lying, saying, although, everybody knows that the Jewish National Fund doesn't sell nor even lease to non-Jews. If you are Christian, if you Christian Israeli or Muslim Israeli, you can't lease from the Jewish National Fund. So to say
I don't.
Is outright lie, and I say it lie because it's lie. I mean, I'm not going to be diplomatic about it or say.
They're just hoping that people don't check the facts.
Yeah.
But with the internet now, you can check the facts.
Yeah, you can
go in there and find out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that if you lease that land, you can't even have laborers that aren't Jewish. Is that right? Or
yeah. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't even. You can. Nobody except Jewish. You can't lease to any. Not just you can't sell. You can't buy. You can't lease either from the Jewish National Fund. So it's clear. And like you said, people have the internet to check these facts, and I hope they'll challenge me that the Jewish National Fund is really racist, because it doesn't include even, let alone forget about other people, but Israelis, Israeli citizen of the State of Israel can't buy or lease from the Jewish National Fund. This is a policy, I'm not talking about Palestinians outside, I'm talking about Israelis, who have citizenship.
Mark my words, that's going to be the next battle. Is the Zionists are going to start attacking their own citizens? The Palestinian Israelis are going to be
who are asking for equality all the time.
They're going to try and roust them out of the country. Or I mean they won't let them build. They won't let them buy land. They're demolishing their homes.
When the
I think they're going to try and they're going to. It's like poking a hornet's nest. They're going to try and make them react and fight back, and that'll be the excuse for expelling them. Or
like what they did in Gaza. They tried to provoke something. They killed the military leader, and then what do they expect? Sure, rockets are going to fly. I mean, they do it all the time. They did it even with Syria in before '67, and Moshe Dayan admitted that they'll send the bulldozer to the Syrian demilitarized zone, so Syrian will shoot at them, so they'll hit them back. They'll use it as an excuse for a massive retaliation. It's known, their history goes way back. They provoke these things. So I also like to talk with you a bit about your volunteering with ISM. You were in Palestine with the International Solidarity Movement. So what's happening. I think that's what motivates you to keep the solidarity work going. But I believe you were there just after they attacked or before they entered the cities, the main cities, which is again a violation of the Oslo Accord because.
I was. Yeah, I was there during the Easter invasion or re-invasion, whatever, of Easter 2002 when the Israelis re-invaded the West Bank and. No, it was. I was in Bethlehem, so they re-invaded all of the West Bank and Gaza and on over the weekend, but they wouldn't re-invade Bethlehem during the Christian holiday. So everything was in mayhem all around us. All the Muslim villages around us were all being torn up and blown up, but Bethlehem was left alone until 12:05 Tuesday morning. 12:05. And I watched. I checked my watch. It was 5 minutes after midnight Tuesday morning after the Christian holiday on Monday. Yeah. And then the F-16s and the Black Hawk helicopters came in and started blowing things up and. Yeah. Yeah. It was that was when the Israelis forced the defenders back into the Church of Nativity, and
I remember
that was all.
Yeah.
I was watching all that from a distance, and
you were in Bethlehem then,
I was in Azza,
the refugee camp, Azza, that's just beside Dheisheh, I believe. It's not far away from Dheisheh, I think, again, they hit and there was fire at the Nativity Church, wasn't there, as I recall? They hit the Nativity Church, and we didn't hear these Christian Zionists complain.
No.
Yeah.
No, this is it. No, they attacked the Palestinians for daring to go in there. I mean, it's again putting logic on its head. Who's attacking who? And,
and I mean, churches always, even churches here, are sanctuary for anybody who want to come in it. So it doesn't matter if you're Christian or Muslim. I mean, although many Christians sought refuge in these churches, but again, I mean, they are sanctuary, and to bomb them for accepting sanctuary, it's like bombing United Church here for accepting a refugee, which is, and they didn't have arms,
No, they just retired inside and.
Like they weren't shooting back at them or anything. So
I spent many days sitting in the refugee camp there at one of the homes right on the edge of the camp, and I was facing the church. Well, it was over a hilltop, and I could see all the explosions and all the tanks roaring by our front door, heading to the manger square, and it was quite phenomenal the amount of firepower they poured in there to take those fellas out. But
I think you witnessed the killing of a child there in Gaza, didn't you?
Oh no, it was an old man.
It was old man,
It was an old man. I mean, there was many people dying, but no, I was in I was riding as a human shield in a Red Crescent ambulance, and we were on Hebron Road, and suddenly we got. Of course, it's black. Every street light's been knocked over, and all of a sudden the whole street lit up, and it was a tank. And an armored personnel carrier right in front of us with the guns aimed at us, and there was a dead body laying in the street, and they ordered us to get out, and we had to get out and lift our shirts up and spin around so that we didn't have any weapons on us, and then they put me to work. They put rubber gloves on me, and I had to help put this poor old fellow into a body bag. He was just trying to get home. He was laying there, just full of holes, and he had groceries. So all his groceries were spilled out on the road in front of him, and he was just trying to get home in the dark to feed his family, and they blew him to pieces.
How old was he?
He was a 66-year-old grandfather. I had his name. Khalil. I had it memorized for the longest time, but he was he was from Deheshe camp. He was he had 66-year-old grandfather just trying to walk home with groceries, and they like I say, they
was his last name Faraj?
That rings a bell,
I think his relative was in Montreal, I believe. Also, he passed away. Rizk Faraj, who was a great warrior for Palestine. He's a Palestinian from also.
I know. When I got back and I gave a talk at the Unitarian Church in Vancouver about the what I saw during the invasion and whatnot. And I made a point of reading that man's name out. And I heard somebody gasp in the audience. And afterwards, a young woman came up to me and said, just wanted to tell me that there was actually a relative of this gentleman in the audience who didn't know he was dead. And they said they weren't up to coming up and talking to me about it, but she wanted to relay that
there was
that I had put my hands and helped put this man into a body bag, and they didn't even know this poor old gentleman was dead yet.
And again, like I said before, Bethlehem was area A, where the Israeli army wasn't supposed to enter. That's according to the Oslo process. And then they tell you, the Palestinians are violating the Oslo process, but the Israeli army entering every day in Ramallah and Nablus and all these main villages is not a violation of the peace process. But that's hypocrisy at its most. And they can do it because of the support of the North American enablers for these war crimes. The government
and the money they've got. That's no, it was amazing. I remember when I was walking through the Bethlehem on the way to and from the refugee camp. I was walking by and here at the university. and it's just blown to bits. There's these rocket holes in the sides of the walls, and there's crushed cars all around, and here dangling from a building gate, a gate entrance, whatever, is a sign saying that the university was partially funded by CETA.
CETA,
And but nobody says a word. I mean, if that had happened in any other country, somebody blowing apart a building or something that Canadians had helped build, there would have been outrage. But here these guys are blowing holes through buildings and classrooms, funded by Canadian, citizens, and there's not even a word. It's just
that's the
mind-boggling.
That's Bethlehem University.
Yeah, Bethlehem University. As a campus right below it. So, and the Israelis actually used the university to bivouac in. They parked all their tanks, and that's where all their people stayed in while they destroyed the town. So just what an insult to have them use a house of learning for soldiers to camp in. It was.
It is actually
phenomenal.
I don't know if you heard about it, but during the Gaza invasion, the recent one, they also entered Bethlehem again, the Israeli military, and there were clashes. They injured a few people there, and the one of the officials in the Bethlehem University, who's a priest, father, he sent a call all over the world, that we are under siege and they attacking Bethlehem, but again, nobody heard about it because the people were busy with Gaza.
Oh my gosh! No, it
is. I mean, also it is hypocritic on these people who claim that they support human rights at the same time they support Israeli aggression against the Palestinians. I think please keep us informed of what's happening, and if there is any development on about the court in Turkey, we could interview you again and update.
Well, I know they set the next date as being February 21st, and the prosecution lawyers have already informed me that they want me to come back and to I guess now that the judge has had a chance to look at the photographs, I think he wants to speak to me again to describe what's in the photographs. So we can
because your eyewitness testimony will be crucial for the
well, I mean, like I said to the judge, the photographs, you don't need to take my word. They just look at the photographs. They can, and all the dead and wounded people in my photographs are testifying to him through my pictures, as well as the Israeli commandos, and that's a key point. I've got photographs, I think about 4 different photographs of aid worker doctors helping the commandos. So when the Israelis say that we were just there to lynch and murder the Israeli soldiers, I've got the proof, that showing the soldiers being tended to by doctors. So no, it's so like I say, even the Israeli soldiers are going to be testifying through my photographs. So
no, that's good. That's good, and that brings us, to the current situation. You're working with Gaza Ark, aren't you, or?
Yep.
And the purpose is really to build the ship from Gaza and get some of the products out of Gaza, because Israel is not letting anything go in, nothing go out, I guess. So hopefully, because we can't really take their word, because the agreement with Hamas was to open all the crossings and to relieve the Gazan population, but
and the ocean as well.
And also this military zone they declared on Palestinian land, because it's people go there to harvest their crops and plantings, and they're not allowing anybody. So hopefully this will end, but I don't think we could count on Israel.
No, Well, I heard today that Gazan fishermen with internationalists on board, I think they sailed out 10 miles.
Oh, good.
Just to test, and it seems they got out to the 10-mile mark. And,
good. Because they can't. Because again, the Oslo Accord allows Gaza 20 miles.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But then they might want to claim their gas reserves under their water, and the Israelis don't want them to do that. That huge gas pocket underneath it's underneath the Gazan waters, and the Israelis, I think, they want to drill it and empty it as fast as they can.
Yeah,
see what they do.
Yeah, it's a big gas reserve. Actually, it extends from Syria to Lebanon to Israeli shores to the Gazan shore. So it's a big one. It's one of the biggest in the world, actually, they're saying. But again, that another issue. They're trying to to control the natural resources, and behind them is the USA for sure, because gas companies are mostly Americans. So hopefully we'll see you in Vancouver, and we keep up the good work. And do you have a final message how people could help the Palestinian people in their struggle to defeat?
Well, certainly locally, the Canada Vote the Gaza group, and there's a solid core group in Vancouver working towards this. Like you say, they're going to be hiring Palestinians to build a boat in Gaza, and then we'll sail it from Gaza out, so full of trade goods from Gaza. So that should be sailing in the spring if they can get enough money together. So. It's that's the next project, and and even if the Israelis capture us and take us away, all the money that people give will go towards hiring Palestinians to build the boat. So there'll be nothing wasted, and I can't see what argument could the Israelis have for stopping us here. We're taking stuff away from Gaza. I think they'd be helping us.
You smuggling arms out of Gaza.
That's right. We'll see what they say.
Okay. Really, having said that, I guess also another way is to support the boycott, divestment sanction, which is really hurting Israel, because we're not going to expect the Harper government or the Obama government to boycott Israel and force them to respect human rights. So I think it's our duty as grassroots organizations and people to be part of this campaign.
Oh yeah, I know. It's big things, small things like Thrifty Foods here having cheeses and halva from Israel in their deli section, and big things like the Canadian Potash Corporation. They're buying an Israeli mining company that mines minerals in the Dead Sea. So, and I'm quite sure they're working out of the West Bank. So, it's and that's our Canadian pension plan money being put into companies like that, being used in Israel. So it's mind-boggling.
Actually, 64 military companies. The CPP is invested in 64 military companies,
including the company that helped train the pilots in the helicopters that attacked the Mavi Marmara that shot at me. So it's quite a direct result that what they're doing.
So we know the Canadian government hands are not really clean. They are,
oh gosh, no.
They are dripping with Palestinian blood and other people who support the Palestinian cause.
Sadly, most Canadians are as well, but they don't even know it. They don't know that their Canadian pension plan money is going to help Israel.
And I don't know if you know also, just for your information, Kevin, if your RRSP can be invested in Israeli bonds, and this is not new. It's been going on for the last 20, 30 years, I believe.
You can get a tax write-off money to Israel
Israeli
Canada
bond.
Park.
Again, the GNF, which we talked about it earlier, can get tax deduction too. Anyway, keep up the good work, Kevin, and it was a pleasure as always to talk to you, and hopefully we see you soon.
Yeah, and say hello to Marion for me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Okay, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.